Alright, welcome to part 2 of the Unitron 286 build. Now, a couple of months have actually passed since I put up part 1 of that video, and one of the major reasons for that is because I've moved my entire collection out of storage, and it's right here with me in the workshop. So that's going to make it much easier for me to experiment, repair, build new machines, just having everything here. So hopefully that means better quality videos and more often for you guys. Now while we were doing that, we had to rearrange a few things in the workshop. One thing I've done is I've put up this green screen here. Now this is mostly because it's more attractive than my garage door, but it also means that I can put in nice little backgrounds. I can black it out, maybe I'll put some flowers up there, maybe a circuit board for backgrounds. I thought it would be neat and just so much better than the garage door.
So last time around, the machine was due for a replacement hard drive. Now I pulled out two contenders, a Quantum ProDrive 48T and Seagate's ST157A, both 40MB IDE drives that weren't uncommon for the time period. And first up was the Seagate. This spun straight up, but that grinding noise, that made me a bit nervous. So I moved over to the Quantum, but this one was a bit worse. It wouldn't even spin. I tried again with the IDE connector removed and it still did the same thing. Now, not shown on the video, I did also take the time to check the power caps on the drive, and all of them were at capacity with a low ESR, so there's no point replacing them. So then this leaves us with two options. Option one is the screwdriver tap. This can be useful on drives where the platter won't spin because the heads have stuck to the surface. But no dice here. So option two is to open the drive and see if we can turn the spindle. Be careful not to touch the media surface and don't leave it exposed for too long. Once rotated by hand, the drive now spins up freely. Reassembled, I thought this time around maybe I'd formatted and installed DOS before installing it in the most inaccessible area that is the inner hard drive bay. I did this using the original copy of MS-DOS 5 because, sometimes I enjoy doing these things the way they would have been done when the system was new. Now I chose DOS 5 because for a system around 1990 to 1991 that would have pretty much been fairly common. Also in this time period I find DOS disks to most likely still be in the 5¼ inch format, and with many low to mid-range machines still running a 5¼ inch drive as drive A. This changed not too long after being 3.5 inch in DOS 6 in the 486 era. Now installation was fairly standard. The only change here was that I disabled the MS-DOS shell. It's a cool little utility, but I never used it back then and rarely see it as the default on machines that arrive here either. Now I've sped this clip up for you guys just so it goes a bit quicker. It does take some time to copy from floppy, but anyway, let's see if our hard drive's gonna boot up. No problemo. Let's do a directory and check the disk space. Ooh, almost 40 megs free. That is perfect. Now earlier I'd completely forgotten to test drive B, so let's check that one quickly. Well, that's not a good start. But hey, maybe this disk isn't formatted, so maybe we'll try that. Phew, I didn't need something else not to work. Anyway, next step was to copy over FastLink so I could transfer over programs and drivers without floppy disks. We just select the remote upload on our tweener system, then follow the instructions over on the Unitron. In between the mode and CTTY instructions, I do recommend creating a new directory for FastLinks and changing into that first. It just stops you from ending up with a bunch of junk in your C drive root folder. And once the bootstrap is transferred, FastLinks cranks the speed up and the program files come on over. Once that's finished, we can just run FastLinks on our 286 and start copying the goodies. Now, after trying a few games, it became apparent something was wrong with that Sound Blaster Pro. Even using Creative's own utilities, it just would not behave correctly. And after many hours of fiddling around with settings, driver software and so forth, I ended up just switching it out for an ESS 1868. Now, these chips are well known for being really good at DOS gaming, and another plus is this particular card seems to have an incredibly strong speaker output. So for my unamplified test speakers, it really packed a punch. I actually had to turn it down using the ESS Vol utility. Now the next issue came when I installed NetWare Lite. I was hoping the Interland network card would have been an NE1000 or a Western Digital Plus clone, but no. I needed the IPX ODA driver for this specific board. The driver from Sigwin just plain did not work, and changing cards made no difference. I ended up switching it out for a Compex eNet 16 Freedom line, which was easier to find drivers for. And it's been working great since. Now after this change, Zasolite from the VC Federation's forums uploaded the correct driver files for me. So thanks heaps Zasolite, we will definitely be using those cards in future builds. Thanks again for your efforts. Next, I thought it would be neat to use more original media, but my 720K Windows 3.0 discs didn't work too well. Thankfully, I also had them on 1.2 meg discs and did the install with those. With that sorted, I tried more software, but everything from X3 Gold to PFS First Choice, bad sectors everywhere. Floppy disks did not seem to fare well here. Even the backup disks I'd made for X3 Gold just were not functioning. So I spent hours recreating original floppy disk images to install software properly, rather than just copying and install from something else. This eventually filled me with quite a hate for floppy disks, and you can expect a future episode on the Gotek USB floppy emulator, because that's what I'm going to use in the future. Now, not on camera, but I should also mention that I did a sneaky and I switched out that 1 meg Trident card for an older 512K variant. The video signal was slightly better, and it's a better fit for a lower end machine like this. I did take the time to track down the Windows 3.0 driver and got that installed. I tried the 800x600 mode, but my capture card nor the LCD display I was using would tolerate such a thing, so 640x480 with 256 colours was the pick of the day. Now this is the time around where I started moving all of my equipment from storage, so many moons passed over the workshop before I started up the machine again. When I did, lo and behold, now the Quantum 48T had got itself stuck again. I removed it, freed it up again, and it was happy, but I just couldn't trust it now. I did give it 18 hours of runtime to see if that helped, but I wasn't going to be putting that back into the machine, so the Seagate ST157A got another chance. Thankfully, that grinding noise eventually went away by itself, and we ended up with a very awesome sounding machine. Now I also took a quick moment to clean the case. Now here, am I using baking soda and sped the video up, or is this real time and that's cocaine? I'll let you guys decide. Now it doesn't show great on camera, but the machine does look a lot tidier in person. It's much nicer to be around. So anyway, let's have a look at the software that I picked for this system. I copied over the data from the Pro Drive and continued installing more stuff. The idea was a partial bridge between DOS usage and moving into the Windows era. Now, these machines were often also purchased with good intentions, but ended up being used for games, so I wanted a mix of all those different components in my choices. Now also on top of that, I actually tried Ventura Publisher as well, and I can appreciate its features and did spend some time with it, but ultimately I wasn't a huge fan, and it performed very slowly on this 286. Publisher is at least tolerable and probably a better fit for a home/small business machine anyway. So overall, this machine has spent quite a long time in the workshop and has been used quite a bit lately while I try out different software titles. I can honestly now say that it's reliable and an enjoyable system to use. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm having lots of inspiration lately with new things to do, so hopefully some interesting stuff coming up. Thanks for watching.
Just out of curiosity, this drive has now been sitting for a couple of weeks, and I want to see whether that 18-hour run did anything to help it with its startup issues. So it's had 2 to 3 weeks of sitting there doing nothing. Let's power it up and see if it spins.